Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Again, welcome. I'm Sienna from Dragon Trail International. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar, in which we are going to be discussing the Chinese family market for outbound travel. This is a significant and high value market segment, and our goal today is to help you understand better who China's outbound family travelers are, what they're looking for in terms of experiences and products, and how you can best reach them through digital marketing. Joining me today as a guest speaker, we are honored to have Liu Hongshi, General Manager of China Travel Group's International Cultural and Educational Exchange Department and member of the China Family Travel Alliance. Thank you so much for being here, Liu Hongshi, to share your insights and expertise. On the agenda today, I'm going to start out with a few updates about Chinese outbound travel before introducing China's family travel market and discussing some of the biggest market trends, how you can reach these consumers, and a few marketing case studies. Liu Hongshi will then be able to go into more details about the kinds of products that are most popular with family travelers for outbound trips, as well as for the study travel market, and share some practical tips and up-to-date insights for travel destinations and brands, hoping to welcome more Chinese families in 2025 and beyond. The presentation should last altogether for around 45 minutes today, after which we will have time for a live Q&A session. Please do feel free to send in questions at any point during the webinar using the Q&A button on your Zoom control panel, and then we'll try to answer as many as we can at the end of the session. One more thing to note is that I will be sending out today's presentation slides to everybody later today, as well as a link to a recorded version of the webinar. So you will have all of the materials on hand for future reference, as well as to share with any colleagues who weren't able to attend the live webinar today. A quick introduction to Dragon Trail International for any of you who might be joining a webinar for the first time or haven't heard from us before. We are a marketing solutions company specializing in helping brands and businesses around the world to connect to Chinese consumers and the Chinese travel trade. Our services include B2C marketing, B2B marketing, events, market representation services, and strategy, consulting, and research. We're proud to work with leading tourism brands on every continent, including destinations, hotels, attractions, retailers, airlines, and more. You can find more information about our services, the clients we work with, and case studies of our work, as well as lots of free resources on Chinese travel trends and digital marketing on our website, www.dragontrail.com. So let's start off with a recap on the Chinese outbound travel market at the end of 2024 and looking forward to next year. We have a huge amount of industry data on the results of China's week-long national holiday on October on the Dragon Trail website. But in case you haven't seen that yet, here's how things went during one of the biggest periods of the year for outbound travel. Chinese OTAs like Ctrip all reported surging outbound travel bookings, basically doubling last year's numbers. The official data reported by China's National Immigration Authority was that there were 7.589 million border crossings made by PRC nationals during the 7-day holiday period, which is a 33.2% year-on-year increase. Since the data for 2024 measured slightly different things than the data for 2019, it is hard to accurately compare this to pre-pandemic numbers. Overall, outbound travel has still not reached the same volume in this year as in 2019, and it's not expected to do so until next year or even 2026, but this will vary a lot by the destination, with some destinations already surpassing pre-pandemic numbers and others much further behind. International flight capacity was back to more than 80% of pre-pandemic levels in October. Flight capacity to several destinations in Southeast Asia, Europe, and the Middle East has already surpassed 2019 levels, but the North American market is lagging behind very significantly. However, the lifting of flight restrictions by the Canadian government at the end of October should help to improve the situation as we head into 2025. Last week, the Chinese government officially announced the 2025 public holiday calendar, and there was some big news here. Starting from 2025, Chinese workers will now get an additional 2 days of public holidays every year, with one additional day added to the Chinese New Year holiday, as well as the Labor Day holiday in May. And these are both peak times for travel. For more China travel news, please do follow Dragon Trail on LinkedIn or Twitter, or follow us on the blog on our website because we always post lots of updates there regularly throughout the year. So now let's turn to China's family travelers and how you can best reach and appeal to them. Now, we hear a lot about China's shrinking birth rate, similar to many other developed countries around the world. But in fact, there are still more than 250 million children under the age of 16 in China, accounting for around 18% of the population. And the parents of these children are spending a lot on their kids. According to the China Children's Industry Center, children's expenses account for 30 to 50% of the total expenditures of 80% of China's families. And the entire parent-child market in China is valued between 540 and 820 billion US dollars. Similar to the situation in Western countries, Chinese parents increasingly look to the internet to find information about parenting, and this includes traveling with kids, and it's something we'll look at in detail later. So we have this sizable population of children and their families, but who are the parents and children who are going to be traveling together and traveling overseas together? The answers here are very similar to the overall Chinese outbound travel market. Family travel and travel spending is dominated by parents born in the 1980s and 1990s. The main decision makers for family travel are mothers, and while they can range from being in their 20s to their 40s and above, it's probably really the 30s and 40s cohort that are the most important for outbound family travel. Chinese women are having children later and later, and in Shanghai, which is a particularly important market for outbound travel, the average age at which women have their first child reached 30 last year. China's first and new first-tier cities are not just the most important source markets for outbound travel, but for study tours as well. Just how popular is travel as a family activity in China? This survey was conducted in 2022 when COVID-related travel restrictions in China were really at their peak. So I think it's quite telling. Chinese parents were asked if they had traveled with their children in the past 12 months, and also if they plan to travel with their children in the next 6 months. 62%, this whole blue area that you can see, had traveled with their children in the past year. And an even larger proportion, 72%, which you can see in green here, plan to travel with their kids in the 6 months to come. I imagine these percentages might be even higher now that the zero COVID policies have all ended and travel within and outside of China is much easier than it was in 2022. Now, one of the reasons that the family travel market is such an attractive segment is that families spend more. And this is partly just because they're traveling with more people and paying for their children's travel. But it's also related to the choices they make to ensure that travel is more comfortable, such as booking higher-end hotels or private tour products. Now, let's start by looking at data from Dragon Trail's latest traveler sentiment survey. We found that travelers with children under the age of 18 were much less likely than travelers with no children to be traveling on a shoestring budget of 10,000 renminbi or less. And they were much more likely to be budgeting 30,000 to 50,000 renminbi for their trips, which is equivalent to around 4,000 to 7,000 US dollars. This past National Day holiday, Ctrip reported that family travelers spent twice as much as the average. And then that data from Ctrip, that includes domestic as well as outbound travel. But other data released this summer from the Trip.com group, which owns Ctrip, they found that for study tour products, the cost in the summer of 2024 was actually 10% lower than pre-pandemic for domestic study tour products. But the per capita cost of overseas study tours was 40% higher than in 2019. So we can see that Chinese families are spending more, especially on outbound travel now. And a report by Ctrip and Volvo that came out last year also showed that family travelers are overrepresented when it comes to high-end hotel bookings and private group travel bookings, with huge year-on-year growth for both. Finally, car rental and self-driving tourism is particularly relevant to the family travel market. And Chinese car rental platform Zuzuche reported last Chinese New Year that family groups spent more and they traveled for slightly longer than non-family travelers. When do Chinese families travel? Obviously, school vacations are going to be the most convenient time, and the longest school vacation is in the summer, with 6 to 8 weeks off starting from early to mid-July and ending on the first Monday in September. During this time, family travelers account for more than half of the entire Chinese family travel market, and this is especially true for outbound travel. The entire Chinese travel market, rather, families account for more than half. Now, to show you in a slightly different way how important family travel is to China's summer travel market, we have this survey from June 2023, when Chinese consumers were asked their preferred type of summer travel, and here they could choose more than one option. After rest and relax, which was the most popular choice at 56.4%, the most popular answer was family travel, followed by travel with kids. Now, here it's important to note that there are different kinds of family travel, such as adult children traveling with elderly parents, or traveling with extended family, or traveling with 3 generations altogether with grandparents, parents, and children. And for this webinar, we are really focusing on travel with children under the age of 18 and the specific needs and characteristics of this market segment. Another peak season for Chinese family travel is the winter school vacation, when kids get 4 weeks off of school, starting 1 week before Chinese New Year. This coming year, Chinese New Year is on the 29th of January, and parents will also get 8 consecutive days off, up from 7 days in years past. At this time, family travelers don't dominate the market quite as much as they do in the summer, but they will be around or just under half of the market, which is still very significant. And finally, there are other holiday periods preferred by around 19% of surveyed Chinese parents for study tours. Ctrip reported that this October holiday, family travelers accounted for 37% of the outbound market, up from 34% the year before. So I've mentioned study travel a few times already, and you may be wondering what this is. It's a good question because the term is extremely broad and it covers a very wide number of things. China's study travel market is actually it's absolutely booming, and that means lots of new products and companies in the space, and that can also lead to some study tours being of very questionable educational value. So just as an example, last summer there were some study tours that claimed that they would take kids to visit Beijing's prestigious Tsinghua University, but the tour organizers didn't actually have permission to go onto the university campus. So then they started contacting students to help sneak these groups onto the campus, and the university administrators got involved to shut down the practice. There are also a lot of products out there that seem like summer camps with outdoor skills training, cultural activities, and sports. Study tours can also include formal classes, touring universities, and even visiting famous companies in China, such as new energy vehicle companies or AI companies, for example. So to summarize, study tour can mean quite a lot of different things, but it is travel for children with or without parents, and it involves some kind of self-development or educational aspect. Overseas, study travel can also include formal classes like language courses. It can also be more back travel with parents that involves visiting educational destinations like universities and sciences, including conservation programs. Liu Hongshi will be able to give us a lot more concrete examples of the kind of study tours offered by CTG. Here in the images, I wanted to share the photo on the left from Greenwich in London, where the kids are all wearing a uniform and are clearly on a formal program that probably includes English classes as well as visits to tourist sites, especially educational ones like the Greenwich Observatory nearby where the photo was taken. Then on the right, you can see two photos from a Chinese family blogger about a 4-day itinerary for families in Los Angeles. And this includes an extensive tour of UCLA, as well as a trip to the California Science Center. Now, visiting a science museum seems like something that travelers with kids from any country would do. But I think bringing a kid in a stroller all around the UCLA library is something more uniquely Chinese. Now, in terms of other themes and activities that are particularly popular with Chinese family travelers, there is significant interest in outdoor sports and adventure activities like skiing, diving, and hiking. As I mentioned before, self-driving is popular among families, and it should come as no surprise that theme parks are also something that travelers with kids are especially interested in. Finally, cruises are a popular choice for families traveling with multiple generations together, especially since it's a safe and easy environment for everybody. And we definitely see cruise lines targeting family travelers in their marketing. In terms of how Chinese travelers with kids plan their outbound trips, Dragon Trail's research reveals that families start planning earlier, with 36% starting 2 months in advance. And when it comes to information sources for destination information, the family travelers in our survey were more likely than travelers without kids to consult Ctrip and Mafenguo. So we can see that they might be researching more thoroughly and preparing even more for their outbound trips. We also compared our survey data on popular destinations, looking at destinations that travelers had either already visited in 2024 or planned in the rest of the year. Travelers with children under 18 were more likely than those without children to visit Chinese travel hotspots, Thailand, Japan, and Malaysia, as well as Australia. While South Korea and Hong Kong were both more popular for travelers without children. Now I'd like to turn to social media marketing and share some examples and insights. Dragon Trail has been tracking international tourism brands on WeChat for many years, and we definitely see a spike in posts promoting family travel each summer. And these posts tend to do quite well. So here are some examples from this summer. First, each summer begins with International Children's Day on the 1st of June, and kids in China get a day off for International Children's Day. This year, Visit Norway published a post on WeChat called Every Day is Children's Day in Norway, recommending activities and destinations to travel with children around Norway. A few years ago, Visit Sweden published an extremely popular WeChat post on International Children's Day that discussed how Sweden had been named the best country in the world for raising children. And this, I think, was quite popular because Chinese parents are very interested in parenting approaches and learning about how kids are raised and educated in other countries. Back to this year's Children's Day, Anantara Hotels and Resorts published a popular article about amenities and activities for children at their properties around the world. And in the screenshot that you can see here, it was about how children could learn about local ethnic minorities and their customs and crafts at one of the properties. And here you can see the connection to the educational opportunities of travel. One of the most popular hotel posts of the summer was by Marriott Bonvoy. They partnered with the Shanghai Tennis Masters and they ran a giveaway where Marriott Bonvoy members had the chance for their children to be the ones who enter the court holding the hands of the elite tennis players. And in Singapore, Changi Airport published a post that focused on activities for children and families at the airport. So apart from publishing content on your WeChat official account, we would also recommend working with KOLs on influencers on WeChat for family-focused marketing, as there are some very popular family travel accounts on the platform. And they not only publish information like and promote deals, but they also run big chat groups for parents on WeChat, and they can share information in those chat groups as well. Now, what about Xiaohongshu? This is the hottest topic in Chinese social media marketing these days. And there isn't as much family-oriented content from overseas travel brands posted on Xiaohongshu as on WeChat. And you might have the conception that this platform is not the right fit for the family travel market. But actually, it's a great fit for this market. Remember that decision makers in Chinese families tend to be the mothers, primarily in their 30s. This is exactly the demographic using Xiaohongshu, and women account for 77% of Xiaohongshu users who search for information on outbound travel. Xiaohongshu is also a great fit for the family market because it's used as a search engine, and it's where parents will be looking up information to plan their trips, asking other users for advice, and discussing questions about traveling with kids in the comments section of posts. This summer, child-friendly attractions was one of the top searched keywords by Chinese travelers on Xiaohongshu, with 52,000 notes in August. To show you Xiaohongshu's functionality as a search engine and source of practical information, I've included a screenshot and translation here of when I type in take your kids into the search bar. So the suggestions it gives me starts with which countries are good for traveling abroad with kids with 3 million notes. I can also jump straight to posts on recommended cities for traveling with kids in Japan, flying with kids, hiking with kids, going to Disneyland with kids, and going to Hong Kong with kids. There are all sorts of extremely detailed guides and suggestions on traveling with kids, as well as lots of family KOLs and KOCs, key opinion leaders and key opinion consumers. And that brings us to a recent case study of a KOC campaign on Xiaohongshu by Disneyland California, working with Dragon Trail. We found and provided information to 100 KOCs, including family bloggers, to publish travel guides to Disneyland, and then complemented this with a KFS media buy campaign. This is a type of campaign that's unique to Xiaohongshu, and it includes promotion through KOLs, users' feeds, and search. The campaign's goal was to reach an audience of 6 million, and we surpassed this with more than 8 million impressions. This is a great example of effectively marketing on Xiaohongshu by working with a large number of KOCs rather than a smaller number of KOLs or celebrities. Since the Xiaohongshu algorithm favors relevant content rather than just accounts with large follower numbers. So it's best to get more coverage of a topic to increase the probability that at least some of those posts will take off. Here you can see some examples from 3 of the family travel blogger KOCs that we worked with, who published photo posts and videos about their experience with kids at Disneyland. I mentioned that international travel brands on Xiaohongshu don't publish a lot of family travel related content, but one big exception to this is MSC Cruises, which has made traveling with kids one of its central content themes. They also publish posts about traveling together with 3 generations together, but in those posts, actually the photos and the content are mostly centered on the children. With photos and videos that highlight all of the facilities and entertainment for children on board. Now, they sometimes claim to provide educational opportunities for children on the cruise, but these seem more like opportunities for self-development at best, including things like water sports and artistic activities like face painting. One final case study I'd like to share spans 3 different Chinese social media platforms: Weibo, Xiaohongshu, and WeChat. This is a series of posts by the Victoria and Albert Museum in London about the visit of a Chinese celebrity named Juju, together with her 3-year-old daughter and her husband, to the V&A Museum of Childhood. The posts were popular across all of the social media accounts, and I think they did a really nice job promoting the museum as a family travel destination. The posts with photo and video content emphasize all the different kinds of interactive and educational activities for families. And although Juju's celebrity status definitely helped to draw a larger audience, particularly on Weibo, the posts focus on the child and her experience. The Xiaohongshu and WeChat posts included more detailed information about facilities and accessibility for families at the museum, and they emphasized how the museum's many considerations for families made Juju feel especially moved and supported as a mother. So to finish up, I'd like to share some tips and a summary of the key takeaways. When it comes to marketing, I think what's most important to keep in mind is that all parents, including Chinese parents, can be inclined to see travel as something that they'd like to do, but also something that might be too difficult to do with kids, especially overseas travel. To attract this market, you have to show them that actually it's easy or easier than they fear, it's worthwhile, and your brand is welcoming to families and children. They are also going to be seeking out practical tips and information. One issue you might not even be thinking about is the weather. I've read quite a lot of Xiaohongshu posts that focus on which destinations are too hot or too cold for traveling with children. So providing information on weather and climate and how to dress and pack could be really helpful. Other good topics are culture and food, which both can be presented as a way to expand children's outlooks and educate them about the world. I watched a nice travel blogger video on Xiaohongshu about traveling to Saudi Arabia with her son, and she talked a lot about how trying Saudi food and experiencing Saudi culture was important for his development and learning more about the world. So really do think about any activities or experiences that can be framed as learning opportunities. Safety and health are also of paramount concern to family travelers, and this includes things like offering healthy foods to children. And of course, share any information on facilities and amenities for children, including really practical information like details on step-free access for families with young children who might be traveling with strollers. Now, in terms of tips for accommodating families in destination, Liu Hongshire will be able to share more here, but based on my own limited experience guiding private tours of Chinese groups in Southwest England, I do have a few tips to share. Preparing special gifts for children, especially branded collectible gifts, can make a great impression for the whole family and also help you with long-term word of mouth marketing after the trip. When planning itineraries and activities, do keep in mind that young children will get tired and may have shorter attention spans when it comes to visiting historical sites. So try to plan a slower pace as well as more breaks. I think this goes for any Chinese groups, but definitely make sure there's plenty of time and opportunities for taking photos, and make sure you include and emphasize learning opportunities. In my experience, Chinese children are just as happy eating pizza as eating Chinese food, but they definitely like stopping for ice cream in the summer, and letting them know that that is part of the tour can help keep them going throughout the day. Now, before I hand over to Liu Hongshi, here are 5 main takeaways from my presentation. First, family travel is a significant and high spending segment of the Chinese outbound tourism market, accounting for more than half of trips in summer and spending significantly more than travel. Second, Chinese parents see family as an important, Chinese parents see travel as an important opportunity for the education and development of their children. And this can take many forms, including everything from taking language classes, skiing lessons, participating in a nature conservation program, visiting a famous university, or even trying exotic food. Third, Chinese parents use social media to look for and share practical travel information. And this is very important for the mothers who are the ones making decisions about family trips. Fourth, the summer school vacation is the biggest time of year for family travel, but other school vacations, particularly at Chinese New Year, also see a significant and growing proportion of family travelers. And lastly, family travelers do tend to start trip planning earlier than average for outbound trips, with around 36% planning their trips 2 months in advance. So now to speak much more referred by Chinese family travelers, I would like to turn over to CTG Travels, Liu Hongshi.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my turn.
Yes, it's your turn. Thank
Is it?
you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. But I think in your country, maybe a good morning. This is Liu Hongshi from Beijing, China, and it's a great pity and a great honor for me to make introduction on the China's family travel and study tour. The first thing I will introduce myself, and my name is Liu Hongshi. Excuse me, can you please pass the next page? Yeah. My name is Liu Hongshi, as the General Manager of International Culture and Educational Exchange Department in CTG Travel. And also, I am the Vice Chairman of the Study Tour branch of China Association of Travel Services. I'm now working in China Travel Service head office for over 25 years and responsible for inbound travel, family and study travel, and cross-culture exchange programs now. Okay, the first day I should take this opportunity to introduce my company first, and then I will share my experience on destinations, products, and the programs and the hotel facilities on the China's family travel and the study tours. My company is it's a China Travel Group. It's the largest state-owned tourism group in China. The company's name I am working is China International Travel Service head office. And for the China Travel Group, you can remember the largest state-owned in China. And the gross asset, according to the statistics of the 2023, the gross asset of my company, the whole group, is 210 billion Chinese yuan, and the total number of employee is 45,000 people in my company. And we have 56 branches office in 34 countries, and every year we provide service for tourists from China and worldwide and over the world. What we can do, my company is inbound tour, outbound, tailor-made, study tour, MICE, and the visa service. So I am responsible for inbound tour and the family tailor-made and the study tours now. So now I will sharing my opinions on the family travel and the study tours. So if you are interested in provide service for China's family travel, so you should know not so far what are the most popular destinations for China's family travel. According to my past experience, I think so far there are 24 countries and destinations for China's family. For example, USA, France, and Switzerland, Denmark, France, usually mainly in North American and the European countries, well, of course, and in Australia, and some of the Asian countries. I think the most popular destinations for China's family travel in Asia is Japan and Korea, Singapore. Of course, and some Bali and the Maldives are also very popular. Please, next page. And please do remember the China's public holidays, because it is the peak time and the very important season for family travel and the study tour. What's the difference between family travel and the study tour? Family travel is usually the families with parents and the kids, and also bring together with grandparents. The study tour is usually organized by school, education companies, or travel agencies without parents. So this is the great difference. And usually the parents travel start during the Chinese New Year, Labor Day, National Day, and the summer holidays, winter holidays. Student study tours only start during summer vacations, holidays, and the winter holidays. And the Chinese New Year has 7 days off. Labor Day, 5 days off in May, from May 1st to 5 days off. National Day, usually 7 days off, plus some annual leave. So family travel can do long trip in abroad, or outbound tour in European countries or North America. And during the May Labor Day, only because they only have 5 days off. So usually the family travel go to Asian countries. It can be finished within the 5 days. And the Spring Festival, the Chinese New Year, also is the peak time for the family travel to take the long trip in the European countries and North America. And the summer vacations, summer holidays, and the winter holidays are very important season for students' trip, because in the summer holidays have 45 days off. So usually students' trip educational program will start in the summer holidays. For some students' program will last 3 weeks. Homestay or short-term study in the university, in some high school. And the winter holidays is kind of a travel learn trip. Usually take around 10 to 15 days. And then annual leave also depend on the length of service. Every Chinese has 5 to 15 days for annual leave. So the families, and especially the parents, will plus the public holidays to travel to abroad with their children or their grandparents. Please, next page. Thank you. I have started for family travel and study tour 10 years ago. And so far in my company, we have 2 brands for family travel. One is Wikids. It's only for domestic travel within China. And the second brand is GoGoKids. It's for outgoing, the overseas travel for families. Please. If you want to make the products for family travel and the study tours, I think you have to make the themes. What kind of products you pay much attention, you should be emphasized. And we make products classification, and including the 8 categories for the family travel and study tours. Education subject, culture, science, events and games, sports, drama and arts, nature and animals, cross-culture activities. And for example, from education subject is the most important for every family travel and study tours. Because in the Chinese family, parents pay much attention on the education. They really like their children. If we do the overseas travel, they really like their children to learn something during the trip, not only just to sightsee or to play. They want to really to learn something. So usually education program are the key point in your products. Even the children are only 3 years old, but they want to learn something They want their kids to learn something. And the culture program is suitable for the kids between 6 to 18 years old. Science program is suitable for the kids, children, students between 9 to 18 years old. And sports, drama. So every catalogs I have state the age. And the last cross-cultural activities is first Chinese students to do some activities with foreign local students in your country. So usually the students in this program around 14 to 25 years old. Yeah. Now I will introduce in the different age. We have different age have different programs. We have 3 levels of kids for 3 levels. The children, what are the most popular programs for families with children aged 3 to 6 years old? I think the most popular programs for this age, the children are theme parks, cruise tours, sea resorts, climate. The length of stay in this area, is 7 to 10 days. No, cannot be too long because usually the children, the Chinese family think the children is young. They cannot stay overseas or another the strange place for too long time. So usually the best length of stay is 7 to 10 days. Please, next. The theme parks like Disneyland, Legoland, and Universal Studio. Please, next page. The cruise tours, very popular among Chinese families. Usually, and the Chinese family like to do the cruise tour in the Spring Festival. It's a traditional Chinese New Year. In this Chinese New Year is the same as Christmas. All the families will get together to celebrate the traditional festival. So usually the cruise tour is the best place for the Chinese family to get together with their grandparents and young kids. In this cruise tour, young parents will be relaxed and have a rest. And good quality in the cruise should be the 5-star cruise because in the good quality and good, very high quality facilities and high quality food. So the cruise tour, I think, will be more and more popular among Chinese family next year. Next page. And the sea resorts, the sea, sand, and sunshine are the best for the young kids. I think the old kids of the world like to play with the sand and the sea. So the sea resort are the key destinations for the Chinese family. Next page. The climate, the resort is heaven for the family travel with kids under 9 years old. Usually and especially for the very young kids between the 1 to 4 years old. I think climate resort is the best places for this kind of a family. Thank you. Next page. Yeah. So how about the family travel with kids aged 7 to 12 years old? We have made some long trip products for this kind of families with the kids between 7 to 12 years old, because this year's children are in the primary school. They have a long time and enough time to do the holiday educational to do overseas trip with their parents. And the Chinese parents think it's very important for their children to learn something and to make development in foreign countries, especially in some in the countries with abundant culture, history, and natures. This is the examples for the products we made for different countries, such as the first is Denmark and Iceland for 12 days. And the second is for France, Switzerland, and Italy for 13 days trip. And the animals, the nature in Africa, Kenya, for 10 days tour. And also in Thailand and Japan for about a week, 7 days or 6 weeks. Next page, please. This is also another examples for the Thailand products and the Singapore. And in Thailand, we usually pay much attention to the animal protection, and the students and the kids like to get in touch with elephant. They will get some knowledge about the elephant protection. And in Singapore, we will visit the university and the gardens and the Universal Studio. Next page. This is the example, the products of Kenya, the 10 days, the national park to see the animals. This is a great places for the children over 9 years old. Usually, and I think in the young children, especially the people, the families will bring their children to Africa. I think when their children over 9 years old, usually the Chinese family would like to take their children to Africa because they're too far away for Chinese. So, and also they think people, only the children over 9 years old, they can understand, feel interest, understand the meaning of animal protection. This is the second one is Paris and Switzerland. These are great places for ski, I think, in winter. So usually, and in the winter holidays, and the Chinese family will bring their children to go to Switzerland for ski. The next page, please. Now I want to introduce the product design concept for Singapore. For example, for Singapore, for 5 nights and 6 days. I think the 5 factors are very important for family travel and the study tours now. This is kind of the trend of the product designing. The firstly is the most important, I think, education and culture. Without these 2 points, I think your products should be less, if without education points and the culture points, I think the products now for students and the Chinese family will be less attractive. What is the education? You have to arrange the university visiting and the best university in your country. So the education, the university visiting is very important because in the Chinese families, parents are paying much attention on what kind of a university their children will go in the future. And they usually will arrange the best university in the local country for our families and the students. For example, in America, in United States, I think it should be Harvard or Stanford or Yale or MIT. And in UK should be Cambridge and Oxford, like that. And what is the culture program? It's a museum trip, such as Science Center, Science Museum, botanical garden, art galleries, like this. It's very important. Not only just to see, you have to arrange in-depth introduction about the museum, science center, botanical garden, art gallery. Usually you should spend half day, at least 2 or 3 hours in this for this culture program. If you have the special culture program, I think you will be more attractive than just seeing. And the delicacy, local delicacy is also important because our Chinese are like eating, like food. My country is famous for different kind of taste of different kind of delicacy. So we want to experience the local delicacy. We want our children or families to learn how to cook, how to make the local food. So this is kind of very interesting experience for young Chinese families. And industry means we want to get some knowledge of your country, to visiting famous companies such as TikTok, banks, or faculties, very famous faculties. And the last is the folk customers. We want to learn some traditional intangible culture, heritage, or to experience in person, to see, to make cultural heritage, to make some handicrafts, to learn how to make handicrafts, and to see the local dance and performance, such kind of things. So these factors are the key points to make the product design for Chinese family travel and the students' tours. Please, next page. This is the pictures and examples for our Chinese family in the Paris and Italy, Switzerland, to experience how to make pizza in Italy. Look at this. So every family, every people are very happy to learn make pizza in person, because in China we only eat in the restaurant. We don't know how to make. So in Italy, because we think the pizza is originally from Italy. So when we visit Italy, we want to learn how to make the local delicacy in person. And we show them to the free markets to see, to get knowledge about the local life. Please. And the study travel program for the students aged 13 to 18 years old. What kind of program for them? It's, for example, outdoor sports, such as the ski. Now it's so popular in China, especially for the students from Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. They like to do some ski programs, hiking, camping in these countries. So in winter holidays, winter vacations, usually, and the students from the rich families to go to France, Switzerland, or Japan to have a ski programs. And some formal classes. What is the formal classes? For students travel, students tour, usually the students like to take some courses in the famous high schools or universities in UK, United States, Australia, France, or some other European countries. Of course, should be very famous university, also all the best university in your country. And the culture program, historical landmarks, especially museum tours, such as 3 hours British Museum culture tours. We want to have experts to give introduction in-depth introduction to the history of the museum, and to do some lectures in this museum. Or you can invite some experts or the scholars to give a speech, to give lectures in this museum. Of course, and we want to pay for it. And the university visitings also is a very important, very important trip. I think every Chinese families and with kids over 7 years old, they would like to visiting university. They want to know how the foreign universities are look like, how the difference between the China university and the foreign universities. The nature programs now is more and more popular for the Chinese students. We want to give them what is the animal protection, environmental protection. So they will learn to build up their social responsibility. The culture programs is the local culture study, such as as I say just now, learn how to cook pizza, enjoy intangible culture heritage, folk arts. I think it's a kind of to enlarge vision of each Chinese students. To get to know other countries, it's very important experience and a good experience. Sports programs, such as the football teams and the the children football team and the basketball, tennis programs. I remember last summer, we organized a students' tennis group to go to France to accept tennis training program. And Chinese football teams, the children football team like to go to Spain or to Japan, Korea to have a football training or exchange programs. It's very interesting, and I think it's popular among the Chinese football teams. Visiting famous companies, it's for high school students and university students. They should know, they want to know the famous companies, to know the world. It's important, such as for example, to go to United States, they like to see visiting Google, high-tech company, and game companies, Tesla. And in Scandinavian countries, for example, Sweden, they would like to visit in Volvo and IKEA. So, and in Germany, we want to see the Volkswagen or some Siemens, such as like this. Please, next page. Oh, this is an example for the different the programs and the products for the travel learn study tours for the students age between 14 to 18 years old. For example, the first one is the Germany, Austria, and Austria. The second is France and Switzerland. The third is for United States. And the fourth one, the last one is for UK. This is just examples. So this is for the students, the travel and learn. For the students over 14 to 18 years old, all of these 4 programs, the same point is to study in the local university, one of the best university to study for at least 4 days courses. Take the 4 days courses in these universities. So this is very important for the students tour, for the age over between 14 to 18 years old. The next page. For hotel facilities, what is the what are the attractive hotels for Chinese family travel? I think the China's family travel is different from students' tour. For the China families, if they take the overseas trip, they will bring their young kids and grandparents. So the hotel facilities are very important. The luxury, 5-star, high-end hotels, good location, international brand, good service, kids-friendly hotel are very important because in this hotel are safe, healthy, and good location, easy go, convenient. The bed, the room inside, this is very important. Please do remember. Because they bring one or two children, so the twin bedroom are most popular, welcomed by the Chinese family. And each bed is 1.3 to 1.35 meters wide. Because the kids, two kids can stay in one bed. So usually the width of the bed is very important. And swimming pool. Swimming pool also for children also important. So usually 5-star luxury hotels have swimming pool. This is where the critical facilities for the Chinese family to think about hotels. The next page. The last is what factors will affect China's family to make travel decisions? I think from the weather, and the location and the safety and health. The weather climate, they will decide it if they want to go. Because for example, during the Spring Festival, it's in winter. It's a winter in our country, in China. So the Chinese family will choose, if they decided, will choose the warm places to travel. The Southeast Asian countries and the South European countries and the Hawaii or the sea resort will be their first choice to travel. And the culture also is very important, especially for the students, for their kids over 9 years old, over 9 years old, because this age, the children with family travel, the parents want their children to learn something, to learn knowledge, to get to know the local culture. The food is important because we cannot eat too much Western style food. We want this destination with Chinese restaurant. So if you have a lot of Chinese restaurant, I think is all you can provide served with Chinese food. I think also important. Of course, if the destinations with abundant or delicious local delicacy, I think it's also attractive. Now, because nowadays, more and more young people would like to taste Western style food, such as Kentucky Fried Chicken, hamburger, pizza, spaghetti, are very interesting. And first-hand learning experience is the local culture, folk customers, and the university educations, schools, museums. I think this is quite good. Activity is related to outdoor activities, sports, or you have what kind of festival that are suitable for children to see, performance to take part in, and safety and health, I think, are the most important factors for the family to make decision. Without safety and health, I think no Chinese family can choose to travel. Facilities, just now I said hotel accommodation, 5-star luxury, health, safe, and are very critical. Friendly, the local people. If the local people are friendly to Chinese or not, also are the key points for the family to make travel decisions. So, okay. Hello. So, it's a very good, and thanks for the Dragon Trail company to invite me to give the speech. The time is only 15 minutes for me, but I really great thanks for your patience on my sharing, and I wish to work together for better family travels and study tours in next year. And please, if you have any questions, welcome to ask me or send me email or we really want to share my experience with all of you and want to welcome you to send me your suggestions and your informations on your country, because we have a lot of families and students. I think next year it's very important for Chinese students to go abroad to study, to take study tours. As I know, in the winter holidays, only from Beijing, it will be 1,200 students will go to United States and the European countries only from Beijing. I think and every year there's thousands of Chinese students will go different countries to see, to travel, to learn, to study, and to have different exchanges programs. So it is a huge market. I think, and if you provide more and more cultural programs and education programs and sports programs, nature and animal programs, you will attract more and more Chinese families and students to go. So thank you again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Liu Hongshu. It was a very rich and interesting presentation, and I think it's very helpful to have so many examples. We are going over a little bit on time, so I wanted to remind everyone that I will be sending out the decks from today's presentation, so you'll have all of the materials there. And I think in that follow-up email, I could also include your email, Liu Hongshu, so that people can get in touch with you to ask any follow-up questions or discuss cooperation opportunities.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Do I need to send email to in this question and mark? I can write.
Yeah, you can do. And I also have your email, so I could send it to the attendees
Please send my email
afterwards.
to everyone if they are interested in.
Yeah, I'll do that along with the recording of the session and all of the slides from the session. So everyone will get all of the materials at the end. I'll send it out later today within the next few hours when everything's ready. And before we finish up, I just wanted to remind you that we've got lots of free resources on the Dragon Trail website on Chinese social media, marketing, travel trends, news, and family travel. I'll be preparing an article based on today's webinar to publish early next week with some of the key takeaways from that. So thank you so much for everyone for attending today. And really thank you very much, Liu Hongshu, for your expertise.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks so much. Okay, well, thank you everyone, and hope to see you at our next webinar in January next year. Bye.